If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. Carolyn and I are going to have to do some unique thinking when it comes to finding campgrounds. We have spent our travel budget for the month. As I've said in previous videos, we went down to Mississippi and we wanted to stay there for about a month in the DeSoto National Forest. They got 3 campgrounds there we could have bounced around from. Although there's a 30-day stay limit in the National Forest itself, we could have that would have meant that we could have stayed at 2 of them. 14 days in one, 14 days in the other. Well, the government shutdown apparently has restricted the DeSoto National Forest from being able to reopen campgrounds. I've said this in a previous video. When we got there, the National Forest was closed, but they left one campground open. It had running water and running water bathroom. So we stayed there for a week. And what my plan was, because people were starting to take notice that we were there, I made a video about how the locals always like to start checking you out. And so our plan was we was going to stay there for a week and then go down to another campground for a week and then another campground for a week. Well, when we moved, the other campgrounds were closed. Now, the government had been reopened, but the National Forest, the DeSoto National Forest, apparently had some administrative duties they had to take care of. That meant that we really didn't have any options to stay in the National Forest. So we went on down to Florida. Now, my concern about Florida is it's hunt season. So when we came here, we were on a hope and a prayer that we would be able to find a place to stay. Well, we did. All this traveling, again, has used up our traveling money. We're going to have to wait a month before we can really travel anymore. Our budget for gas is $160, and it's always worked well for us. We've stayed in this National Forest before, and we were able to bounce around quite a bit. It worked out really well. The thing is this time we're here, there's very limited access to internet. This is a big problem considering I work online. So we're at a campground right now where I have internet. There's another campground that has internet, but as I've mentioned in a previous video, there's a large group of folks there that a lot of people will consider undesirable. They're the rainbow group. My hope is they will leave here shortly, but if they don't leave, then we're gonna have to figure out how to dodge those folks. So I may not be able to stay over at that direction. See, what happens is the rainbow group, they'll find 2 or 3 campgrounds that they can stay at, and then they, as a large group, they all kind of move back and forth. So you may have one group at one campground, another group at another campground. Well, then they just switch. They're still staying within the rules of the National Forest, but it keeps everybody else out of those campgrounds, which is what they want. They don't want to be around people. They're just not very good people. So those 2 campgrounds, 2 or 3 campgrounds, are probably off limits to us. And of course, those 2 campgrounds have really good internet signals. So we're having to get creative. We're having to figure out how to stay in this area without spending a bunch of money. As a result of the hurricane, there are a lot of places that had cell phone service, internet service, does not this year. We drove around to all the campgrounds that we knew had cell phone service, at least through AT&T last year, and this year, nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. Well, freecampsites.net only lists 2 or 3 different campgrounds around here that we can stay at, so we're having to really spend a lot of time on the internet. And this is where I want to come to with this video. I hear so many people say how easy it is to find campgrounds and travel the country, and it's so easy. But the reality is it's not easy. I spend an enormous amount of time looking for campgrounds based on criteria that you have to set up for yourself. Now here's the thing. I feel like I'm pretty well educated on a computer. That being said, it's still a struggle for me to find things and work on the computer, learning new things all the time. So today I spent about 4 hours sitting at the computer. Now remember, We come out here to enjoy this beautiful lifestyle. People always tell me that they want to see more of my adventure. They want to tell they tell me they want me to go see museums and oceans and mountain ranges and forests. And, you know, travel, have a great time. But they don't understand, it's very clear, they don't understand the amount of time and effort it takes just to do this lifestyle. You know, I've talked about, you know, having to start up the generator, run the generator. You still have to cook and maintain a lifestyle, take showers, all the things that go along with this. Well, here's something else right here. Spending 4 hours looking for campgrounds or someplace I can stay that will allow me to stay in this area for 30 days. Just so I can get into next month's budget. And the reason this is important, yes, I could rearrange my finances a little bit and I could travel on. I could take a little bit of money out of the emergency fund and replace it next month. I get what I can do. But there are a lot of people who are coming out here, and this is why I say it's so important that you have financial security. If you're living month to month, paycheck to paycheck out here, you could get yourself in a situation where you are required to move and not be able to move because you don't have the money to travel the 200, 300, 400 miles it takes to move. You hear about these stories out there in the desert. They come out to the desert during the RTR. They meet a lot of new people, and all of a sudden, you know, summertime comes around, and everybody's rolling out of the desert. They're out there enjoying their adventure. Well, these other folks have to stay in 110-degree heat in their cars because they have no money to move around. So, you know, they don't have the money to travel 200, 300, 400, 500 miles to go to a cooler climate. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.